Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Razor and this is Legion 214 Gaming. First I want to tell everybody thank you for giving me some time off while I was, tending to family matters over the holidays and everything like that. None too serious, really good things, but needed to take a break so I can actually spend time with my family. But the purpose of today's video is to get into open development because there's a lot of controversy going on about it right now. I want to talk about, two highly anticipated titles, Star Citizen and Ashes of Creation, both of which have garnered immense hype and substantial crowdfunding. However, both games are also facing significant challenges that threaten their long-term success. These issues are inherent to open development and are, and there are, of course, other factors that come into play when it comes to open development. These games, both of them, Star Citizen and Ashes of Creation, promise players unprecedented levels of involvement in the development process. But my question is has this transparency ultimately helped or hindered their progress? And that's kind of what I want to get into today. So stick with me for the next few minutes as we get into the pros and cons of open development. Thank you, and welcome to Legion 214 Gaming. Okay, so look, open development can allow for valuable player feedback and create a sense of community ownership, but it also presents several challenges that can significantly impact the project's trajectory. One of the most significant is the potential for development delays. The constant feedback and shifting priorities can make sticking to a rigid roadmap become incredibly difficult, but this can also lead to perpetual development cycles and frustration among backers. Another key challenge involves communication problems. While transparency is key, over communication or inconsistent messaging can create confusion and fuel speculation. So managing expectations becomes a delicate balancing act. And then finally, open development often leads to unmet expectations. And when the players are involved from the early stages, their expectations can become inflated. And delivering on every promise, especially in ambitious projects, is nearly impossible. So what I want to do is we'll kind of dive into each of these issues and how they have manifested in development Star Citizen and Ashes of Creations a little bit later. But first, I kind of want to talk about Star Citizen. I want to start off there. And with its massive scope and years in development, Star Citizen perfectly exemplifies these challenges. Now, the constant influx of funding has allowed for ambitious feature creep. We all know that. But it has led to significant delays and a sense of feature bloat. While the transparency is appreciated, and we do appreciate it when CIGs is transparent when they decide that they're going to do it, the constant changes and shifting priorities have left some backers feeling lost. And a perfect example of that is one, what's the best way I can say this without making people mad in the comments? But the overall feelings towards master modes come from the PvE community or the PvP community. Each side has their disagreements. Each side has, I've seen some constructive criticism. I have seen some criticism that hasn't been so constructive from both sides. But what I will say is that CLG's messaging is the fault here. And that's part of one of my bullet points with communication problems. CIG has created a problem in which if you're going to have open development, you have to listen to your players and you have to as well communicate with them in a way that where they understand. Now, I don't think any of us are expecting that they lay out perfectly for us what master modes is going to look and feel like from beginning to end. But we need a little bit more than what we have been getting. It seems like, whenever somebody's asking a question, whether or not they're being disingenuous or not, CIG has kind of taken this stance of, if you're coming to us problematic, we're not going to listen to you. Now, I don't necessarily have a problem with that because you shouldn't allow yourself to be bullied, but also at the same time, you got to kind of look inward and understand you created this monster. And what do I mean by that? Well, when you decide or announce something that's going to be drastically changes to the game. And I think we can all admit Master Modes is a drastic change, and it will continue to be a drastic change from all intents and purposes. You have to lay it out for your player base, because guess what? They have to be the one to buy in. They are going to be the one to play it. You can think that your idea is absolutely fantastic. It absolutely means nothing if your player base decides this is what we don't want to do. I know Jared always says that we take it to the point of realism and then we bring it back to where it's fun. But right now, your community doesn't seem to think that Master Modes is fun. So when it comes to open development, you're going to have to continue to communicate and continue to litigate if you truly believe that this is the way forward. And that's one of the things that, you know, is kind of like a problem with most companies that are doing this open development process. And then that also brings me to the community. And the community's reaction over open development has always been mixed. While some appreciate the open communication and frequent updates and, you know, everything that comes with open development, others oftentimes grow impatient. And with the slow progress and the constant introduction of new features before existing ones are even fully polished, that will make your player base upset. Why? Because it's open development, it's in life, but it has also led to significant delays and a sense of feature bloat. While the transparency is appreciated and we do like it when they are transparent, the kinds of changes and shifted priorities have left some backers feeling lost. And I mean, you know, that's obviously apparent when it comes to, there's a lot of people that feel like their voices aren't being heard. And then there are also some in the community that feel like, you know, Star Citizen or even developers right now that are kind of, you know, doing this open development thing feel as though the loudest people are the minority in the community. So why are you listening to them? Now, I'm not sure if either or really is a good thing. I'm not here to really judge on that matter. But what I am going to say is that this is a CIG problem that they have to fix. Their communication has to get better. If you're going to roll out something that might be, you know, completely changing the game for a lot of people and how they play, you've got to communicate very well, and you've got to keep that communication constant. This is a game that you want not only us but new players to play. Us as a community, we're going to be the ones bringing in that new batch of players. We're going to be the ones recommended this game, and you know, everybody who plays Star Citizen wants it to do well. I believe in their hearts they truly want it to do well. They wouldn't play it as much as they do, and they wouldn't spend as much money as they do on this game if they didn't want it to do well. But you do have to, and I 100% admit it is hard to communicate with your fans, because, you know, it's in the name fanatic. They're fanatical, so they're going to be passionate about the things that they like and that they don't like, all at the same time. And that brings me to my next point, which is the community. And there's the reactions, and the community's reaction within Star Citizen has always been mixed. While some appreciate the open communication and frequent updates, others have grown impatient with the slow progress and the constant introduction of new features before existing ones are fully polished. And this is a big deal for a lot of people in the game right now, because they want to play the game. Star Citizen is fantastic, but they want to play the game. And right now, as things exist, and I acknowledge that it is an alpha, I also acknowledge that people in the community don't want to hear that anymore. They want to play the game. However, it is an alpha and it's not fully polished. But I don't even think the community is asking for that. What I think they're asking for is stability. Can the game be stable? If you get the game stable, we support you 100%. I believe that's truly what the community is saying. May not as eloquently as some other people's are able to say and portray for the community, but that's really what they want. They want stability. So, you know, these issues have impacted the gameplay experience, and as bugs and inconsistencies are frequently reported, only fixed months later, or to be honest, maybe not even fixed months later. Maybe it's not fixed until, you know, which I have to say it's a little bit disappointing, but sometimes it's not even fixed until the next biggest sale. And that's an issue. That's a problem, because what you're communicating to your community at that point is that, hey, we'll get to this when we need and or want your money, and that's not okay. So that is an issue. But players come back all the time, and they'll sit here, get into this game or not. Maybe they'll take some time off, and they'll see that there may be some major improvements. I'll be honest, there are some major improvements, but they only leave again when because they're disappointed and the stability. And I say all that to kind of go ahead and segue into Ash's creation. And how do they parallel? How are they the same in this matter? And Ash's creation, while it's still in development, it faces the same hurdles. They have a more focused scope than Star Citizen, and their open development model it has still led to communication challenges and managing expectations. And their community feedback is actively sought, but implementing all the suggestions, for Ash's creation right now at this point is a little bit unrealistic. And even their CEO, who just did a video with Asmongold, and I suggest you go and check that out, even talked about how some of these things are, or he talked about some of their limitations right now at this point in time, which, are all understandable and realistic. The problem is that the community as a whole, they're not as directly invested, or honestly, maybe not even care about what your development woes are. They want to know what are, your solutions, and are they realistic solutions? So, Intrepid Studios, which is the one that's developing Ash's creation, they've been praised for their regular streams and community interaction. And they have also faced criticism, though, for shifting timelines and changes to core game mechanics based on player feedback, which has led to some confusion and concern within the community. And a big kind of indicator of that is kind of what's been going on in the Ashes of Creation community lately is, that they're kind of, they're dealing with a situation right now where you got content creators that might not, be speaking the truth or being favorable to Ashes of Creation, and CEO feels like he has to come out and kind of, challenge that kind of stuff. But that really all comes down to your communication, though. If you're communicating with your community, and your community is strong, and they understand everything that's going on, and what you're doing, and Ash's creation hasn't been great about that. They haven't been great at marketing what their alpha is able to do now. You really have to go and kind of search, or you have to look at other creators, and sometimes that's not good, because creators are humans, just like developers are, just like CEOs are, just like you and I are. They're humans, they're going to make mistakes, but you cannot lean on a content creator to get the word out or the correct messaging out about your game. You have to do that. And how do you do that? One, you do that with open and constant communication. You also do that by ensuring that your game represents what you said in the first place. And Star Citizen, honestly, to me, they're number one at being bad about this. Not the developers, but their marketing arm. They're bad about this. They do not represent the game as it is currently. And I understand that that's hard. You're not going to show bugs in a trailer or anything like that. But also at the same time, your ads are very much they're misrepresenting what the actual game is. And I actually had to argue this with somebody because I was on the side of CLG, because I understand what they're doing. But then, when I look at it from a prospective player who might not know anything about Star Citizen, may not look up a YouTube video or anything, when they look at the ad, they're going to think like, man, this game is great, which it is a good game when it's, stable and playable, but they're not being honest about some of the things that are, currently plaguing the game and those ads. And I'm no marketing guru or genius, so I don't know exactly how they would go about that, but that comes down to, like I said before, communication. But this all comes down to, just to kind of wrap everything up, because this video is already kind of getting longer than what I wanted to. Maybe this is something that I need to kind of make a series on, because you can really get deep in the weeds on the things they've done well and the things they haven't, steps that they probably could have did better in the future. But one of the a few like key decisions that we can kind of go back on is like Star Citizen. They recently with the promotion of Richard Shire within CIG, it marked a significant shift. So there has been increased communication since Richard Shire took over. There's been more frequent updates, a renewed focus on the core gameplay loops, and the move has been largely positive, which is suggesting that they're trying to make sure they have more effective leadership and clear communication, so that way they can mitigate some of the risks of open development, which is great. And this has led to more interaction with in communication with players. More, not great. Remember I said that, more, not great. And obviously that in turn means more responsiveness from the community. And for Ashes of Creation, a pivotal moment for them, has been their approach to handling feedback during the alpha and beta testing phase. I haven't agreed with everything that they've done as far as the handling of feedback, but for kind of what's happened to them, and I would say that they're kind of going through the things that Star Citizen went through in its earlier phases, which, hearing everything about this being a scam. Don't get me wrong, people are still saying that about Star Citizen, but it's easier to fight back or argue on whether or not Star Citizen is a scam versus Ashes of Creation. That doesn't mean Ashes of Creation is a scam. Doesn't mean that I think Ashes of Creation is a scam. I don't think it's a scam at all. But when you're arguing with people and you're hearing their thoughts and everything on it, you do tend to kind of go like, okay, well, I have to look at it from their point of view. How do they feel about this? And but the verdict is still out on open development. I do want to dive in deeper on this. I have a lot more that I want to say on this. This is just a few of my thoughts that I can kind of put out right now. But open development, is it killing Star Citizen? Is it killing Ashes of Creation? I don't know. I don't know if I can honestly say that right now, but I do believe that it's a problem that we as a community, we got to kind of look at. And this kind of wrap everything up for right now. But the reason why I believe that we had to look at it is because we need to be a part of this and kind of look at ourselves as well and say, okay, what are our parts in this? What are our parts? And not that we need to take any responsibility for Star Citizen, but what are our parts? Where can we help out? And that starts with, honest and constructive feedback, right? And, understanding how to do that. It is true. You're gonna get more with honey than you are with vinegar, but I do understand at the same time, like sometimes you just got to put it out there, like, listen, you guys suck right now. Doesn't mean that you suck forever or you suck all the time, but you suck right now. You need to fix that. But those are my thoughts on it as of right now. I know open development is hard. It's hard for the players and it's definitely hard for the developers. But what are your thoughts? What do you think? Where do you think that Star Citizen and Ashes of Creation are going right now when it comes to their open development? I know a lot of people in the comments are probably going to say, hey, it's a scam. You're probably not even going to get through all of this video, for being honest. You're going to look at it and you're going to say, hey, I don't like this game. This is a scam, whatever, blah, blah, blah. You're a fool for playing this. And that's your personal opinion. I appreciate your personal opinion. But to be constructive in the comments, what do you guys think of open development? What do you think there are things that both of these games can improve on? And then what do you think there are some things about these games? What do you think that they're doing right? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you. If you made it through all the way through this video, I really appreciate you. I wanted to get my thoughts out. I'll be making shorter content in the future, but this is something that I thought was pretty important just to kind of get out there. But let me know in the thoughts below. Appreciate you guys. See you in the verse.